This actually happened not more than a week ago. My friends and I record videos pranking people and then post those videos on TikTok. To be honest, everything we do, like prank calls and surprising people, everything's planned so no one would be harmed and everyone would get a good laugh. Sometimes even our victims. We gained a lot of audiences, not just because of the pranks, but also because we treated our victims as fam after. The prank that we did was planned a month ago. Everything and everyone was already prepared from our prank. Then to our costumes, props, and location. We're only 6 people in this group. Jay filmed the whole thing with his phone. Andrea, Tom, and Alex were the actors. Gabe was our lookout, and also the driver, and I was the one holding the paper plate full of specialized foam that Andrea mixed. It's totally safe and odorless. She's a pro in that kind of stuff. We rehearsed and understood our roles well. The whole idea was that we had to go to a town about a 2-hour drive from where we all live, and where Andrea and Tom were wandering around, pretending to be lost. They asked a random person if they know where is the supposedly Wilson's Manor is located. We totally made it up, which was abandoned and haunted, and they would love to explore it tonight. The unsuspecting local has no idea where that is, and then Tom shares paranormal stories of the manor to bide some time for Alex to approach them and join in the conversation. Once the couple asked Alex if he knows where it is, he says yes, and then pointed out directions to where they're supposed to go. Then while they're doing that, I come out of my hiding spot with a paper plate full of foam and start running towards the victim and pieing it to their face. The 3 acted surprised as well. Everything went as planned for our several victims. After the prank on each of the victims, we all approached the victim and explained to them that this is a prank caught on video and all that. We also told them that the foam we use will be dissolved in about 10 minutes without any trace, and it's odorless. Then, Alex will be sweet-talking them. So no fuss, no muss. Most of them had a good laugh. Then, we set up again for another one. We agreed that we will have at least a couple more victims since it will be dark in half an hour. Gabe radioed us that an old lady was about to turn right to the road where we were hiding and looks good to be our next victim. Everything went well, and then I heard my cue. I stood up and ran as fast as I could toward them, and I hit her face with the pie harder than I intended to do. All of us were in shock. I apologized repeatedly to her, waiting for acknowledgement or any reaction from her of what I did, but she didn't react or anything. All of us except Gabe surrounded her, checking if she was okay. For several minutes, there was no reaction, and we started to panic, but we had to keep it cool so we won't attract anyone's attention. The foam started to dissolve when we saw her face clearly. Her forehead and the side of her eyes wrinkled, and her eyebrows formed like an arch. Her eyes. She looked at me directly, and it had an impression that she was looking right through my soul. Then she shrieked louder than humanly possible that it could possibly tear all our eardrums, still looking at me. Even Gabe, through his earphones, reacted to that woman's shrieking. In horror and panic, Andrea started to cry. Then Jay budged us and told us to run towards the van. Everyone ran except me. I can't seem to move. It felt like I was paralyzed and just kept on looking at her shrieking, and her mouth gaping extremely wide, and her grayish hair seems like it was electrocuted. It felt like every fiber of my body was so terrified. I saw Tom in my peripheral vision, looked back at me, and when he realized that I was still standing, went back and tried to push me away from there. She then grabbed my wrist and snatched my bracelet. I didn't react to that because I was still paralyzed, while Tom kept pushing me towards the van. Once we were in the van, Gabe stepped on the gas and quickly got out of that town. We rented rooms in a motel that we found along the highway once it got dark. I was still in shock at what happened and still haven't moved on from that terrifying experience. We just huddled together in Jay's room while Gabe bought food for all of us. Jay and Andrea reviewed the video on Jay's phone from the moment when I ran toward the group up to the point where they were running toward the van. Tom was beside me on the other side of the room. Trying to make conversations, I was shivering, not from the cold, but from the pure fear that I felt more than a couple of hours ago. Gabe came back with the food, and we all ate together. Later that evening, I slept with the lights on. Even though I was totally aware that I was alone, and the curtains were drawn close, it felt like someone was watching me and in my room. I kept looking at the ceiling, the walls, and under my bed, but nothing. The last couple of days, I tried my best to make it look normal, especially for other people who didn't know what happened, but once I'm alone in my room after school, I'm sitting on the floor in the corner of my room, still traumatized by what happened, reliving that exact moment over and over again in my mind. So yesterday morning, it was about a week after the incident, I started to move on. I mean, I tried my best not to remember that. And I also didn't feel like totally scared of the whole incident. Until last night, I had a nightmare. I was back there again, paralyzed and terrified. This time, it was just me, and that woman screaming at me. Her eyes felt like a spear piercing through me just by looking at me. Her hair stood like reverse lightning, cutting the sky in half. I tried to scream, but no voice was coming out of my mouth. I tried to cry, but no tears were dropping down from my eyes. I tried to shut my eyes, but it felt like my eyelids were torn off. Then her head moved sideways slowly, still not breaking eye contact. Then upwards and then downwards. She kept doing that for what felt like half an hour. I heard a pop sound somewhere within her, like when you crack your bone. Then she stopped moving and looked straight at me again. Then she lunged towards me, or so to say, her head, down to her shoulders, and her whole spine lunged toward me. I woke up screaming and sweating profusely. I wanted to drink water as I felt so thirsty, but I can't seem to move any part of my body. I tried and tried and tried, but I just can't move even my head. Then I felt movements in my room at first. Then I saw a glimpse of its shadow on the left side corner of my room. I assumed it was a raccoon or a big rat running around in my room, yet I still couldn't move. I can't even move my fingers. Then I heard a shrill "hee" at the right side of my room near the door. Then another at the same location at the ceiling. Since the only thing that I can move are my eyes, I followed the sound, trying to see whatever it is. I heard it again above my closet, then near my PC area near the foot of my bed, then at the top of the curtains at the left of my room, another at the right. It seems like it's either multiple beings in my room or they are moving a lot faster now, until I heard the same sound multiple times every second. Then it stopped. I tried to move my body again, or even just my fingers, but nothing. I stopped trying for what felt like a minute until I saw the head of that old woman lunging at me. I tried to scream, but I can't. She fell to my chest. I felt the impact. Her head, her entire shoulder, and then the spine. It felt like my heart wanted to explode by beating so fast. Then her head moved to face me. The woman was actually smiling. Then she made that sound, the shrill "hee," and another while crawling to the right side of my face. I definitely passed out, because I woke up in the hospital room with my parents beside me. My dad told me what happened once he heard me screaming, but he didn't hear the shrill sound or saw anything in my room. He saw my face full of foam that later dissolved when he tried to clean it. I was startled when my phone buzzed. An unknown number sent me a message. I opened it and waited for the whole message to finish downloading. It's a photo that will definitely scar me for the rest of my life. It is a photo of me, full of that foam, and with a paper plate covering my face, and that old woman beside me. The reaction on her face was the same as her reaction that same day we pranked her. Her eyes looked like she was looking straight at your soul, together with a wrinkled forehead. Her eyebrows formed like an arch, and a wide gaping mouth.